Fighters, and welcome back to another episode of the True North Fighters podcast. I am Pharaoh.
I'm Wolfpack, reporting for duty.
And I'm Shimaro, in at the dojo.
Now this week we've got a bit of a shorter episode for you guys, everybody, but nonetheless it'll still be interesting as usual. Wolf, you got some tournament news to share with us this week. What you got?
Indeed I do. So, we have another upcoming Mortal Kombat tournament. For those of you that heard from a few episodes ago, Combo Breaker is going to be happening in late May, but just a couple weeks after that, we have the culmination of the Mortal Kombat Pro competition, which is none other than Final Kombat. And you boys are going to be extremely happy about this one because this year, Final Kombat 2024 is emanating from the heart of Ontario. It's going down in Toronto this June.
Woo!
Yep, it is going to be absolutely huge. $100,000 on the line, and it will feature the 20 best players from around the world. So
now, Wolf, are we gonna have tickets for that, right? Like we're gonna get tickets for that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm gonna work on that. It's actually purchasing tickets is already open, and registration is also already open for the last chance qualifiers.
Okay.
So in regards to, for those who actually don't know what Final Kombat is, it is pretty much, like I said, the culmination of the Pro Competition League for Mortal Kombat, and it is just absolutely insane. So day 1, you have the last chance qualifiers. Day 2 is group stage eliminations, and then day number 3 is the final bracket, which also includes grand finals, and this will be the year where we crown the first ever Mortal Kombat 1 World Champion. So the way that the entrants break down is that 19 of the 20 players are directly invited to Final Kombat. So first off, following the culmination of Combo Breaker, the top 9 in points after Combo Breaker will automatically receive an invitational to compete at Final Kombat. From there, we have competitors from 10 regions who will compete in a series of regional online tournaments to earn an invitation. The regions include Brazil, Europe East, Europe West, Latin America North, Latin America South, Mexico, North America East, North America West, Middle East, and Oceanic. So, those will be the 19 players that will be locked into Final Kombat, and then of course the last chance qualifier determines the 20th entry. That is going to be a double elimination tournament, and it's going to be capped at a whopping 256 participants. So, if you guys thought that the last chance qualifier for Capcom Cup X was crazy, just wait until we hit Final Kombat in a few months' time. But yeah, Final Kombat this year, going to be live from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and the group stage eliminators and final bracket, they are all going to be being showcased at Ryerson University. So how about that for a venue?
All right.
So that is pretty much the jump on Final Kombat 2024. We'll be providing updates whenever we can in regards to some of the entrants that are top favorites, some that are underdogs, and again, Combo Breaker is going to be coming up in late May, so we'll definitely have a lot more information in regards to who's going to be moving on to Final Kombat. So, I think with that, it is time for us, I believe, if you gentlemen don't have anything else to add.
I believe, Wolf, you did also have some SNK tournament news to follow up on.
Actually, yes, as a matter of fact, I do. So, speaking of tournaments, there is another big one that is coming up. We did have Genesis X earlier on, but what's coming up next this month is the SNK World Championship Finals. That's emanating live from the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California, March 16th and 17th. The featured game is King of Fighters 15, but we are not done there, because the very next week we have the ARC World Tour 2023 Finals, which are going to be taking place also in California, not in Los Angeles, but in Long Beach. So there will be a side tournament for Under Night in Birth 2, and then on the 24th of March, just a few days after the side tournament, there will be tournaments for Under Night in Birth 2 and Guilty Gear Strive. So those are the major tournaments we are going to be covering for the month of March.
Sounds like a packed month for us then.
Indeed, it does.
Get our gloves and make sure we are locked in for the times, boys, so we can cover all this.
Abso-freaking-lutely. It is going to be unlike anything we have ever seen before. So definitely for those of you listening who are going to be watching these tournaments, either attending them live or viewing them through Twitch or YouTube, yeah, strap in, because it's going to be a hell of a ride. From that, we will switch back over for a little bit to the AAA scene, as patches have dropped from Mortal Kombat 1, Street Fighter 6, and Tekken 8. So, I'm sure a lot of you have already read through the patch notes, but we're going to go through some of the key things through each game's patches, through the most recent ones, and we'll give our thoughts on them. So, gentlemen, I open it up to you. Which game should we talk about first?
I would vote, since we're fresh off the heels of Capcom Cup X, I'd say we cover Street Fighter 6 first.
All right, sounds good. Pharaoh, you good with that?
Yeah, I second that decision.
All right, sounds good to me. So, for those who didn't already know about this, with the culmination of Capcom Cup X came the most recent update, in which Ed is now officially playable for all Street Fighter 6 players, the third character in the first set of DLC that we're getting. And in terms of the patch, in terms of the character balancing, the adjustments were mainly focused on Jamie and Ryu, which is very, very interesting. Jamie makes perfect sense because, you know, he works the way of the drunken fist. So definitely there's quite a bit of work to be done there. And Ryu apparently got a little amped as well, considering that he is a well-rounded and versatile character. He's pretty much a very standard individual, but I am actually very curious to see what they did with Ryu. So let's take a look at what the changes were for Jamie. His supers actually got quite a bit of changes. His level 1 super, the damage of the normal version ended up getting a buff from 2,100 to 2,200. And then the follow-up version of this also had a damage buff going from 1,750 to 1,850, which means that the damage now matches the level 2 version of this move. So if Jamie is at drink level 2, it's pretty much going to have the same damage output. And the pushback on hit is actually no longer applied when the move lands on an opponent in the corner, and it will now down an opponent for 5 more frames than what it used to.
Oof, that is brutal, honestly.
Yep, but it gets better. So his level 2 super, the Devil's Song, the change here is that if the drink level had been raised prior to the activation, it actually now returns to that value when the effect of the move ends. So let's say the drink level went up from 1 to 2 prior to activating Devil's Song. Basically, it's going to it's essentially going to go back to level 1 apparently, instead of just staying at level 2. But yeah, if Jamie wasn't already dangerous before, he's even more dangerous now. And on top of that, his forward throw got buffed as well. So his forward throw, Backshaver, it had a follow-up that it has a follow-up added that raises your drink level, and if you continue to hold down the throw input, you can actually activate the follow-up from there. Ooh. So that is going to make Jamie an absolute nightmare to play against. And you guys know me, I hate Jamie with every fiber of my being. So if I thought he was a nightmare before, he's going to be even more of a nightmare now. I can tell you that.
So that's Jamie. So then, Wolf, what do we have for reuse improvements? What are they doing to amp up this Shoto character?
Well, for the overdrive version of the Shoryuken, they changed the effect of the first hit from a knockback to a blowback, which is very, very interesting. The solar plexus strike also ended up getting a decent buff. The proximity block detection hitbox got expanded to the edge of the attack's hitbox between frames 2 and 18 of the move. And there's another interesting note for the solar plexus strike. From what I'm seeing here in the patch notes, if an opponent is inputting a direction away while within the proximity of the block detection hitbox area, instead of them moving away from you, they'll block. So you could actually get a little bit of chip damage off of that.
Okay, so it's a way to kind of make Ryu essentially a Shoto / Rushdown of sorts.
Yeah, essentially. And all 3 variations of the Hashigeki have also been adjusted. The light version now has decreased knockback and knockback on block, and the knockback on block while in burnout has also been increased. And then the distance covered between the end of the active and recovery frames has basically been decreased. And that's just for the light version of this move. So for the medium version, the attack hitbox has been expanded in the forward direction, and so has the projectile clash hitbox. That has also been expanded in the forward direction. And then for the heavy version, oh my gosh, again, same thing, attack and projectile clash hitboxes have been expanded forward, knockback on block has been decreased, and then the distance between the end of active and recovery has also been decreased, and essentially rinse and repeat for the overdrive version, and also the Denjin charge version, with the addition of the damage for the overdrive version being increased from 600 to 1,000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very Shoto / Rushdown change to me.
Yep, and then yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Unreal.
So, Wolf, do we have any more big key points to make about the SF6 patch notes?
The other thing that I will add in regards to what it says under the All Fighters category, says here that there are basically some issues that have been fixed in regards to the usage of armor, drive rushes, perfect parries, input buffering, and just a bunch of other stuff. But the majority of the fixes were basically for Jamie and Ryu.
Gotcha. All right, so that's SF6 out of the way.
Yep.
So what do you say we move on to the other new game in town, T8? What patches have they made for T8?
Oh man, this list is actually quite a bit longer than it was for the first patch.
Okay, well, we'll just kind of trim it down to, let's say, the 5 main points.
Okay, fair enough. So, basically, there are a lot of behavioral changes for different modes. Move lists, basically, so corrections to the text in the move lists. Various holds for different characters now have different properties. And there are some changes to the stages as well, just fixing some minor issues that occur here and there. But the real meat and potatoes of this comes in the characters as per usual. So Elisa got buffed. She got buffed
Not
again.
again, no!
She got buffed again. She's got 1 nerf, but she has 2 buffs. So
I'm sure you're just loving this, Wolf.
believe me, I am. And it's going to get even crazier because Asuka got buffed, Azucena got buffed, Brian Fury is sitting neutral. I'm really upset because Claudio got nerfed.
Oh, come on!
Yeah.
It was so much fun when you and I were playing it. We're playing around with him.
I know! He's so much fun. I'm upset that he got nerfed. Dragunov finally got nerfed after being such a dominant character since the first patch.
That's at least some good news. So he might his throne of being top favorite character on the player boards might actually drop.
It might, but he's still the top used character for now, anyways. Feng remains unchanged. Warang got buffed. Jun got buffed after she ended up getting nerfed in the first patch.
Yes, let's go!
What in the world? Kazuya and King both got buffed as well.
Okay.
Kuma and Panda, they ended up getting nerfed.
No! Oh, not my bears!
Yeah, both of them got nerfed, unfortunately.
They're already some of the least used characters in Tekken 8 already.
But they're so fun to use! I don't get why they're not being played enough.
That is a good point. They are actually a lot of fun to play as. I've logged quite a few hours into Labbing Panda, so she is pretty friggin' fun. Other characters, basically, Lars ended up getting both a buff and a nerf, so that kind of cancels things out a little bit. Law and Leo remain neutral. Leroy got buffed. Lily got nerfed, which I'm kind of upset about. Nina got buffed up the wazoo. Holy smokes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she got buffed real good. Raven's neutral. This one you're going to hate. You were going to hate this one with a passion. Reyna got a mega nerf on this one. She got a huge freaking nerf. It is ridiculous.
Not again!
Yeah, I know.
Not again! No!
Yep.
My Empress of the Purple Lightning, why? Curse you, Namco!
Dude, I tell you, man, like they had to do something. She's so freaking powerful.
She was perfect. She was absolutely perfect the way she was.
Well, depends on the person you ask, but yeah, I can agree with you from what I've seen playing against you. Yeah, she was pretty damn good, but she got nerfed up the wazoo. Victor got nerfed as well as Xiaoyu. And Yoshimitsu also got nerfed. So, lots of nerfs. A lot more nerfs than the first patch. I can tell you that much.
Namco!
Yeah. really weird. Yeah.
I am!
Don't worry, we both have our own grievances here, Pharaoh. We both have our own grievances with this. I'm not happy that Claudio got nerfed, and I'm not happy that Lily got nerfed either. Because she's another one of those characters I use a lot. I am kind of happy, though, that nothing has changed for Jin yet. But
yes, that's the key word there.
Yes, that's the key word, indeed.
I know. I just have a feeling that Namco's going to do something with him eventually, whether that's a buff or a nerf. I'm not sure, but it is coming eventually.
Well, it's really interesting because out of all the characters involved in the Mishima Kazama bloodline, Jin is the only one that didn't receive any sort of changes. He wasn't mentioned anywhere in the patch notes aside from the behavioral changes to the different holds and stuff like that. That's it.
Regular Jin, but what about Devil Jin?
Nothing for Devil Jin either, actually. Nothing for him either. So, literally, everybody else from that bloodline basically got nerfed, and nothing needed to change for Jin. So, Oh my
I'm
gosh.
so salty right now. Okay, let's move on to the MK1 patch notes before I blow a fuse here. Like, Reina, Namco.
Yep, no problem. So we'll move over to the patch notes for MK1. I'm actually kind of thankful right now that I don't have MK1 on Steam, because what did they do? They increased the size of the game for the Steam version.
Oh, come on.
At launch, it was 100 gigs. They've now boosted that to 140 gigs.
What the heck is NetherRealms doing?
Well, I mean, it's a gigantic game. I get it, but like, why the increase? Like, I'm pretty sure even Mortal Kombat 11 didn't get that big of an increase. And that had like pretty much
that's like a 40% increase. Like what the heck are they putting into that extra 40%?
I have no clue, but there's a lot of stuff here in terms of fixes and adjustments. There are improvements to the AI, several visual issues with projectiles, brutalities, cloth physics. There were some issues with the match timer that happened when a fatal blow was missed or blocked, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Online stuff got fixed as well. Crossplay support is now official, and it is
there
live.
we go. That's at least something good. So basically, a lot of this is like quality of life patches, essentially.
Well, so far, anyways, crossplay is now available. A rare issue where the UI and announcer timing would be mismatched at the start of different rounds during online matches. There was a frame rate issue that got fixed in this patch. And now players can manually link their game profile to their WB Friends account. So that's good as well. Invasions mode got some interesting additions. There are HUD indicators now showing not only your character level, but also your elemental types. So that's good. They significantly increased the fighter and cameo Mastery XP base rewards, which is incredible. And they just boosted the XP gain altogether for that. And the other currency that could be used within Invasions, crowns, which is used to get items like ornate keys, purchasing talismans or components to improve your talismans. Those can now be rewarded for defeating major enemies. Whole lot of stuff was fixed up for practice mode. And yeah, there are also a bunch of character specific adjustments. Out of all of the characters in the game right now, so 23 for the base roster, plus Quan Chi, Omni-Man, plus Quan Chi and Omni-Man, so that's 25. There's probably about like 5 or 6 characters that didn't need to be changed. Okay. Otherwise, pretty much the majority of the base roster ended up getting some sort of fix. A bunch of the cameos got fixes as well. I believe that's almost everyone, actually. Darius, Jax, Kano, Kung Lao, Motaro, Scorpion, Shujinko, Sub-Zero, Tremor, and Chameleon. They all ended up getting different fixes. So that pretty much leaves Serena, that leaves Stryker, Sonya, and Goro as the only cameos that remained untouched for that. So, I mean, it's a long list. I mean, I could go into detail, but that would take up the entirety of the episode.
Yeah, so let's just go with rapid fire. Like who in the main roster and the DLC characters of those 25 characters, who got buffed and who got nerfed?
Well, Omni-Man ended up getting a bit of a nerf / a buff. There was an issue with the move spilled contents, which now it no longer allows the opponent to perform a cameo ambush attack while in its hit reaction. So I guess that's like a good thing, kind of. I mean,
kind of.
I don't play Omni-Man, so I wouldn't know what the heck is going on anyways. Quan Chi, though, he got a brand new move, which also, which a move similar to that now lasts for an extra couple of seconds. Multiple versions of this move can be active at the same time. Yeah, basically, Quan Chi got buffed. He got buffed. Tanya she pretty much got buffed as well. Sub-Zero, it was just like visual issues that needed to be fixed. Same thing for Smoke. Sindel, she got nerfed a little bit. Shang Tsung he got nerfed as well. Reiko, not really anything there, just like rare issues that happen. Rain, same thing with Nitara, just a visual issue. Liu Kang, also a visual issue. Kung Lao ended up getting a nerf. The main version of Kung Lao, not the cameo Kung Lao.
Okay.
Johnny Cage also ended up getting a little bit of a nerf.
Yes! Finally!
He got a little bit of a nerf. Ashra got a buff. A crazy freaking buff now. Because her Bleeding Blade move now deals bonus damage and causes knockdown when hitting an opponent's cameo. Which
Holy
is
crap.
Insane. That is freaking crazy.
That is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't play Ashra too much, though I am trying to dedicate more hours to her. But whenever I have played with her, like, she's incredible. So, having that right there, like, that's crazy. That's going to make her even more of a threat. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I would definitely have to say that... Oh, sorry, go on ahead, buddy. My bad.
Oh, sorry. You think maybe that's a little too much of a buff, right?
Well, I mean...
It's just the one move.
It is just the one move, yes, but, you know, sometimes only one move can make all the difference. So, Ashra was like... In my honest opinion, she would be like a very mid to low tier character. But with this specific buff to Bleeding Blade, I would say that still keeps her mid tier, but it boosts her up a little bit into getting into some of the higher tiers. Like, by no means would I say she's like a god tier character, but I would definitely say she's no longer like a mid-low tier.
Okay, so she's more upper mid tier, essentially.
Yeah, essentially upper mid, pretty much.
Okay. All right, and then who else do we have?
Let's see. Well, the main characters that ended up winning this patch, Quan Chi, as I mentioned before, Ashra got a huge friggin' buff. Tanya got a bit of a buff. Her spinning splits kick and the air variation, they can now both hit the opponent's cameo, which is friggin' crazy. Heavenly Hand and the enhanced version of it can now continue to be active after hitting an opponent's cameo. So that's another huge friggin' buff there. Spinning split kicks also gains extended knockdown reaction, and fixed cudgel strike also deals bonus damage and causes knockdown now. So Tanya basically got more buffs than Ashra, and at this point, like, I'm starting to think Tanya could actually be more dangerous than Ashra at this point. Friggin' insane. Okay. Nothing really changed for Sub-Zero or Smoke. Sindel, nothing much really happened there. She got like a minor nerf.
Yeah, you mentioned her already.
Yep. Shang Tsung, Reiko. Rain, he got nerfed.
Yep, you mentioned them too.
He got nerfed a bit. Nitara, nothing really happened there. It was just another visual issue. Melina, she got buffed. Sorry, she didn't get buffed. She got nerfed. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she got nerfed. So there's that. Li Mei ended up getting nerfed. Kung Lao, the thing that I was trying to mention there is that there was like some sort of bug regarding the throw immunity during some of the recovery frames of his hat toss. That's fixed now, so there's no like extended immunity from that in terms of the recovery.
Well, now the one thing I got asked about these patch notes is, did they do anything to my boy Kenshi?
They did actually. They did.
Am I gonna like it or am I gonna hate it?
No, you're not gonna like it. So there was a cosmetic change. So the cameo meter color now turns blue when Ancestor is active, but the problem,
that's actually cool. Okay.
Yeah, so there's that, but the problem now is that Kenshi now takes 20 damage when Ancestor is hit by an attack, in which before Kenshi actually wouldn't take damage at all.
I mean, well, like when you and I played MK1 and I was playing as Kenshi, I don't think I ever really used Ancestor that much, so that's not a huge loss for me, honestly.
Well, to be fair, like what it is trying to use Ancestor effectively. Because like I have tried so hard to figure out how that works. I'm getting the hang of it slowly, but there's still a lot for me to learn. And then on top of that, Ancestor is now vulnerable to attacks whenever Kenshi is performing a throw attempt. So that right there is also opening the door for Kenshi potentially taking damage again, because what if the opponent manages to escape the throw and then proceed to attack, right?
Right. Okay, now, the one thing I really want to check in on is the kick. And you know which one I'm talking about, because I screwed you over with it many times. Have they nerfed the kick at all?
There is no mention of it whatsoever. It's all specifically...
Yes! Victory!
Yep, it's all specifically revolving around Ancestor. So, yeah, pretty much. Like, It's just Ancestor that got nerfed. Otherwise, everything about Kenshi is pretty much still alright.
Woo! Alright.
But yeah, I think we'll wrap up our patch note analysis with that, because again, like I said, it's a long list, so if I were to go through everything, it would take up the entirety of the episode. So we'll wrap up our patch note analysis, and then Pharaoh, I believe you had something you wanted to share with us here.
Yes, Yeah, I think I remember you saying you had a new indie game in the making that was going through a beta test at the moment.
Yes, I did. That is correct. So, in lieu of the indie games, but this is sort of a mini indie game spotlight.
Oh, dude.
Oh, yeah?
This is a news story.
Oh, a news story. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So, I'm a little flustered, mind you.
It's all good, no worries.
Okay, so there is a new, well, not, what am I saying? It's a game that's not even out yet. All right. My apologies, my friends. All right. So I heard a little birdie on the block told me that there's a new sandbox-like fighter that's currently going through a beta test right now.
Okay.
Called,
Interesting.
Mecha Mayhem.
Okay, all right. I'm already sold on it just from the name.
Now, I'm pretty sure if you're a fan of Gundam, you'll really like this.
Okay.
All right.
It kind of encompasses similarities of a beat-em-up game and Gundam. Pretty much the whole suffice is you have a robot that you're basically controlling, and you basically just have to fight a whole bunch of shit. And however, the twist is, whenever you beat them, you can take their parts and use them on yourself to amplify the power you got.
I'm liking this.
Okay.
I'm just gonna note that this is this game is being developed by I believe, at least what I can find on it, a solo developer.
Wow.
So you gotta give the developer Ducket Games a whole bunch of love here, man.
Heck yeah. Props to him.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness.
We don't exactly have a release date yet, but it seems to be something really promising, and I think you guys will enjoy it.
Okay. Can we look forward to this maybe in 2024, or we're looking at more of a 2025 release? or is it really too far out to say?
I don't have enough information to make a decision on that.
Fair enough.
I'm not able to actually give you a release date, though. When it comes, I will let you know.
Okay, sounds good. We would keep all you listening informed as we get new updates from this game. Anyway,
Right.
Pharaoh, I believe you had another thing. Like moving on from the news stuff, I believe we have a new segment to talk about.
That is right, tomorrow. And the segment that we decided to call is Punch the Past.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So basically, the premise of this little, is we're actually taking a look at fighting games from yesteryear, and we're going to bring them back into the spotlight once again. And our first one, well, they could be good, they could be mid, they also could be bad. But hey, it's fun talking a little bit about them, right?
That's fair.
And
yep.
the first game that we have on our list is unfortunately not one of the good ones. But we're going to talk about Sonic the Fighters.
Okay.
I do remember seeing some. I do remember seeing some video of this on YouTube in certain like top 10 lists here and there. So from what I understand, Pharaoh, it's basically a Sonic 3D arena fighter, kind of in the similar vein to like the earliest renditions of Tekken. And you basically it's basically different backgrounds, but outside of a boxing ring, and basically have a limited roster of Sonic characters to choose from.
Right. And one that was only seen in that game and never seen again.
Yeah.
Which one was that again?
Yeah. What was that?
Hang on. I don't remember the name, but I just know there was one character that was. I think it shows how forgettable they might have been.
Okay, I think I may have remembered seeing a cat lady in there somewhere, so that could have been it.
But that definitely couldn't have been Blaze though, because she wasn't introduced into the franchise until much later. I'm not
Blaze. I'm like talking like an old classic looking character, like before the Sonic X era.
Yeah.
But aside from the forgotten character or Pharaoh, what other? Let's see, who do we have on the roster for that game?
Yeah, I'm going off of the original arcade release in the '90s, and the release on the 6th. The GameCube is a 6th generation console, correct?
If I remember correctly, I think it is.
Yes, because it came out, I believe, on the 6th and 7th generation consoles, just not Xbox. Basically, it only included, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles was there, Amy, Espio, and there's a couple of other characters that I've never seen before.
Really? Espio made an appearance in this fighting game. That's surprising.
Yes.
Sega usually doesn't let him outside the box.
No, it's weird, eh?
It's not bad, but I
in
mean...
2012, when it got re-released, it also included Metal Sonic.
There we go.
Dr. Robotnik was also added.
Okay.
And, yes, the mystery character Honey the Cat was added.
There we go. Okay.
That was her. That's
okay. Who it was.
Now, one thing I want to ask you, Pharaoh, about the Eggman cameo appearance. Was he fighting just as himself, or was he did he have like a mech suit on?
I mean, I've never played the game myself, so I wouldn't know, unfortunately. But it was probably. I could speculate that it'd probably be without his mech suit or whatever. Okay.
Maybe just for next time, Pharaoh, make sure you research these things in depth.
A little more, yeah.
Okay.
But that's cool. That's a cool bit of old Sonic lore that I don't think a lot of Bond fans really know about. So it's good that we're bringing stuff like this back. So guys. So this is a new segment that's kind of going to be not replacing our Indie Spotlight, but just kind of subsidizing for it whenever we don't have a entry for the Indie Spotlight. So look forward to Punch from the Past in later weeks as it needs to come in, and if we find any cool games that we think you guys should remember or rediscover or just discover for the first time, we'll bring that up in this segment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that, thank you, Pharaoh. I think that's quite an interesting dive into this game. So before we move on, I also want to ask how did moveset wise, like how differentiated were the characters in Sonic the Fighters?
Moveset wise, I believe it was probably unique to whatever their character is, but more or less, it's probably movesets are similar for the most part.
I see.
So
probably not, except probably with an exception for maybe Metal Sonic and Dr. Robotnik, of course.
Because he always has an exception.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll let me try to play this on the YouTube channel once that gets back up and rolling again. And so that was a fun little entry.
Yeah, and actually, before we continue, just want to add on to Shamaro's question a little bit here. In terms of the movesets, are there any moves that are like universal moves that every character can use? I know that sounds silly, but like, I'm not talking about like just like your basic attacks that are connected to the limbs. I mean like special abilities of some sort. Is there anything that's like universal?
I think I get what you're talking about here, Wolf. You're talking like something like the spin dash, where like in most Sonic games, everyone can use the spin dash.
Yeah, essentially.
Of course. So pretty much, the mechanics are quite simple. You're going to have your regular basic, your punch and kick attacks. You can defend and all that. And obviously certain presses of the buttons will reincorporate a special. Each character's got a number of special moves, so you get to see what you got.
Okay, but I think what Wolf was asking here is is there one attack that's like a common denominator between all the characters?
Yeah, like are there any attacks that are shared by everyone? Yeah.
No. Okay. There wouldn't be, because Dr. Robotnik can't do a spin dash, so
sure.
And that's pretty much well known as a probably move for most of the character settings.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
All right. Okay, fair enough. Well, that clears that up.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, guys. So I'm gonna move us on to the discussion topic. So, but yeah, this was fun. I think we definitely need to get this segment some more love. So we will do better next time, guys, as far as like researching this, so we have better questions to ask and we can actually answer them.
Hell yeah!
It was only a trial run after all. This is like our maiden voyage of this segment.
Yeah.
So we will improve as time goes on. Anyway, discussion topics. So this is one I have cooked up for us recently, but I haven't given it a lot of thought. So I have a question for you two. And you guys can ask this of me later on. But if we were all to go into tournaments for various AAA fighting games, who would you main and why would you main them? So let's start off with Street Fighter 6. Who would you guys main and why would you main them?
All right, that's a very interesting question. I like that. For Street Fighter 6, I would probably go with Cammy, and no surprise there. Main reason why is because I pretty much have the most experience with Cammy in regards to like all the legacy characters throughout Street Fighter. And on top of that, like you don't really see her featured too often at tournaments because there are certain moves and combos that can be borderline game breaking depending on how you play Cammy. But I think with the addition of the modern control scheme, I understand that like it's not going to be utilized because it's borderline broken and makes things a little too easy. But yeah, like for some reason I've always just been drawn to Cammy, and before anyone says anything, get your heads out of the freaking gutter. It is not what you think it is. But yeah, okay. I would have to go with Cammy for that one.
Okay, so she's a character who you think is cool, and you want to see more of her, so you're playing more as her.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so Farrah, what about you? Who would you main SF6?
Oh, to be honest, I wouldn't really main anybody in particular. I like to be a bit of a pain in the ass and constantly switch.
Okay, but if you had to lock in just one. Okay, but if you had to lock in just one character.
If I'm going to be honest, probably Ken.
Okay.
Solid choice.
easier enough for someone who is less experienced in at least Street Fighter. I'm pretty sure he's at least well balanced enough for newer players to pick it up.
Yep,
right?
so a character that's pretty much par for the course for him.
Yep, and I mean, plus, Ken is one of the most frequent characters that pop up in Street Fighter tournaments. Like, we saw a bunch of that already at Capcom Cup X just a little while ago.
Yep, with our boy Safe.
Yep, so, yeah, that's a great choice, man. That's a great choice. Ken's a character that pretty much anybody can pick up and play, just like with Ryu. So then, pretty much, I guess that leaves you then, Shamaro. Who would you choose to main in a Street Fighter 6 tournament?
So for me, it's actually a toss up between two characters. They're both tied as who I would main. So first off, my first choice would be Chun-Li.
Okay, that's solid.
Yeah, first off, she's definitely one of the faster characters in the game.
Yeah.
And you know, she's got good range with all her kick attacks. And then for my second pick, like the one that's tying with her, you're gonna be surprised by my choice because I am the rushdown guy of the three of us. But I would actually choose as my secondary to be Zangief.
Oh boy, the Red Cyclone. Here we go.
Yes, because I gotta say, like his twirl move, like his back special, if you're talking like modern control scheme, is just really good at countering attacks. Like forget blocking, forget the counter system, the parry system. All you need is that one move, and you can undo any aggressive fighting styles.
That is absolutely insane. But you know what? That would make you such a deadly player, having a character as fast and with incredible range as Chun-Li, and then also having someone with incredible rushdown abilities like Zangief. That is crazy.
Yeah, so those two are currently tied for who would be my main in a Street Fighter tournament. Of course, whenever we do get around to playing the new version in person, I don't know. Like, Ed might be a new contender, but I haven't played with him yet, so I can't really say it for sure. But he could be like my main in terms of rushdown strategy.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe Rashid as well. I can recall you were extremely impressed with the Rashid players during Capcom Cup X.
Yeah, Gachikun definitely played Rashid well, but I'm not sure if he's really my style. He's definitely a zoner, which I'm not adverse to, but I don't know. I'm not sure if it's how Gachikun was playing him or whether it's just the innate mechanics of his character, but I just found him to be a really cheap character. I know that's kind of crazy to say because like zoners are meant to be like real space controllers, but Rashid just seemed a little cheap to me looking back on it. So I don't know. Like, again, Wolf, you you haven't gotten the DLC characters yet, so I haven't got a chance to lab them yet, so I'll hold my judgment for now. But first impressions, I'm not sure if I would be a Rashid main.
Yeah, no worries. I just kind of figured maybe I would throw that in anyway because,
good,
again,
good that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's SF6. So what about Tekken? Who would you guys main in the new Tekken 8?
Oh boy. Okay, I'm gonna try and answer this without sounding as generic as possible.
Let me guess, Jin.
Well, I mean, it's just... Yes, I would probably main Jin because, like, he just has a very... He has a very versatile moveset that's easy to pick up. And, I mean, on top of that, he's got different moves that are shared with Kazuya, with Reina. I believe there's a move or two that he shares with Jun. Maybe a couple that he shares with Asuka. But yeah, like, Jin has a pretty good moveset, and plus, he was the first character I ever picked up when I started playing Tekken. But if I were to select, like, a backup option, it's tough, because with Tekken 8, I'm tied between Claudio and Lily. Lily, she is probably the second or third most played character that I've used since I started playing Tekken, which I believe my first game was Tekken 6. And as for Claudio, like, I didn't really play him at all in Tekken 7 because I was very skeptical of how he played. But since starting to use him in Tekken 8, he's just been freaking amazing. So, yeah, I would probably say Jin would be my main pick, but my backup would either be Claudio or Lily.
Okay. Farrah, what about you? Who would you main or use as your backup?
For a main, well, my actual main I can't bring into the game because he's not even in Tekken 8. But in substitution, why not Eddie Gordo, right?
You know what?
He recently came out of the DLC.
Yes, he did.
Yep, he did. Yeah, that's a solid choice.
His character was a palette swap of my main back in. Well, like the palette swap of my main. What am I saying?
No,
Tiger Jackson is the palette swap of Eddie Gordo back in Tekken 3.
There we go.
I mean, like, if you can keep the two of them have pretty similar movesets.
That's true.
It's pretty easy to transition from one to the other without too much of a hassle.
Okay, solid pick.
Yeah, that's pretty good. What about you, Shamaro? Who would you be picking for a Tekken 8 tournament?
Okay, now I know I have nothing but good things to say about Reina, but I think she would actually be tied as far as like who I would main first and foremost with Jun.
Okay.
Like Reina, obviously I love her just because she's a cool character, and I love how she's a fast rushdown. Jun I like because she's not necessarily a really hard-hitting pressure rushdown character, but she is good at dealing out good damage, as assuming you can keep the combo strings going.
Yeah.
So, those two are kind of tied for my first pick as my main. My secondary pick, though, obviously, I think Wolf, from experience, it would be Kuma.
Yeah, I kind of figured you would have to put Kuma. I'm actually kind of surprised that you didn't have him as like tied as a main. I'm actually kind of surprised.
Yeah, like I wouldn't call him as my main just because like he is a big body character, and that just makes me a bigger target for my opponent if I'm taking up like half the screen with my character's body. So
yeah, that's fair.
Like the only time I really utilize Kuma is if I'm willing to go up against a character who can't deal with like the heavy hitting paw thrusts that Kuma can do. Yeah.
All right.
So that's where I would bring that's why I would bring Kuma in as my secondary, and plus obviously Fish.
Yeah.
Just Fish.
Yep. I'm not about to blame you for that one, because you've definitely gotten quite a few laughs out of me with that. So, that's a solid choice nonetheless.
Yes, praise Fish. Anyway, so like we could keep going on with this talk, so I'm just gonna keep it into the main 3 AAAs for the moment. But if you guys listening at home want us to hear more about who we would main in certain tournaments for certain games, let us know down in the comments. Anyway, so the last game I want to bring to our attention is, of course, MK1.
Yes.
Now, who would you guys main in MK1? Or you know what? Let's open the floor and also say MK11 is on the table. Like if you had to choose between an MK1 tournament and an MK11 tournament, which one would you pick? And whichever one you pick, which character would you main?
Okay, this is going to be a very interesting one. Okay, so I'm going to go with Mortal Kombat 1 for this.
Okay.
Who I would main, the major character I would main, probably going to be Sub-Zero. And then as far as my cameo, I would probably go with, it's a tie. So my first pick would be Frost. And then my second pick would be, I would probably have to go with Sector. So the reason I pick Frost is because I'm speaking from experience, because I did play the beta testing months before it was released, and it didn't matter what combination I worked with, I always found myself coming back to Sub-Zero and Frost. I don't know what it was about that pairing, but it worked so well. And on top of that, when the game eventually did launch, this was the first pairing that I went for, and I've actually managed to generate some incredibly amazing offense with this pairing. So, and even when you factor in the lore, like in the previous timeline, Frost is Sub-Zero's student, right? So it makes perfect sense that they would work together. And as for Sector, as my backup cameo, like he's got an interesting set of moves, but I just love the idea of being able to freeze your opponent and then just bathe them in flames afterwards using Sector. Just absolutely awesome. Ironically, I have not tried that pairing before, so that's what I'm definitely going to have to lab. But yeah, if I were to be in an MK1 tournament, my main character would be Sub-Zero, and I would either pair him with Frost or Sector as my cameo.
Okay, that's an interesting combo, Wolf. Pharaoh, what about you?
All right, now I'm going to make a bit of an earlier jump and go back to Mortal Kombat 11.
Correct.
Okay.
And I would have to pick Kung Lao.
Okay.
He's been my most consistent use throughout all the Mortal Kombat games that I have played, which would be 9, 10. There was a 10, right?
Yes,
yep,
there was.
I'm confusing myself. 10, 9X. And, Wolf, I believe we played 11 at your house, I think, a couple of times before.
Yep, we have done that a few times, and safe to say you've kicked my ass quite a bit with Kung Lao.
Yeah, he's been my most consistent character, pretty much.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna go with anybody as a default, it's definitely gonna be him.
All right, that's a pretty good pick. I like that.
All right, and then I think for me, I'm definitely also going to go back to the MK11 just because I know that more than I have. I have more experience with that than MK1. And Wolf, like you know me, I'm definitely going to go for my girl Jade because 1, she's got easy inputs. 2, the range on her bow staff is absolutely nuts.
It is.
I'm definitely going with Jade. I'm definitely going with Jade as my main for MK11, and if I had to go into a tournament. As my backup, it's tricky to say because I kind of only just main Jade a lot, and
true.
As far as other characters, kind of somewhat no. I mean, Devora is one, but really all the only reason I really played her was just to freak you out, Wolf.
Yep.
I had some small success with her, but I wouldn't say I'm quite proficient with her yet. So I would think my secondary might again be Kenshi.
Interesting, although there is one problem. Kenshi didn't show up in MK11. That would work.
Oh, right.
That would work if it was
I'm
MKX or
MKX.
MK1.
I'm thinking MKX. Okay, yeah. Back to 11. In that case, then I think I would have to go with. Oh my gosh! I am tanking so much on these Chinese names. Main guy, Fire Dragon Boy.
Liu Kang.
Liu Kang. Thank you.
There you go.
That's terrible. I can't even remember the main character's name.
It's all good. It's a rare blunder, folks. It's a rare blunder.
I swear, listeners, I will someday remember all these names and actually be able to spit them off in a conversation with ease. But yeah, so I think that's a great place to end off our discussion on who we would main in our tournaments. And again, guys, for all you listening, if you have any questions about other games that if we were going into tournaments for those games, like say Dragon Ball FighterZ or an SNK game or what have you, let us know that down in the comments, and we'll make this a continued discussion in later episodes. So anyway,
yeah.
Dream rosters. So Wolf, I believe you had a very I don't want to say weird idea for a fighting game, but definitely unorthodox.
It's okay if you call it weird, honestly. Like, this is just a completely bonkers thing that I came up with. Basically a fighting game based on weather conditions.
Explain. Please explain this.
So the way that I see this is I would see it as pretty much it would be a 2D fighter, and oh boy, how do I go about this? So a 2D fighter, so it'll pretty much be similar to Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, but oh man, this is tough. I could go on talking about the characters perfectly fine, but it's like, yeah, I just imagine it as a 2D fighter. As far as like the characters themselves go, think of them as kind of like, you could think of it as like deities of some sort. Not necessarily going back to like Greek mythology or anything like that, or Norse mythology.
Right, but just like generic like weather conditions.
Yeah, pretty much. And if anything, I would probably also throw in like natural disasters as something like that as well. So you'd have lightning, volcano, hurricane, tsunami, blizzard, all kinds of stuff like that. Again,
and I assume by all the variety that there would probably be like elemental magic stuff going on.
Yeah, there's a very, very, very high possibility of that happening. Actually, it wouldn't even be a possibility. It's a damn near guarantee that there's going to be some sort of elemental magic going on there. And I also do kind of like the idea of having an elemental affinity kind of system where it's like some elements are weaker or stronger against others and stuff like that. So yeah, there's really not much to say about this. It's pretty much exactly what you would think it is.
Okay. Now, the one question I do have, do you have like would you have a character that's basically just representative of like a clear sunny day?
As a matter of fact, yeah. Yeah, I definitely would. There would also be a character that would represent pretty much like an overcast kind of thing, where it's like, it's pretty much like really cloudy and whatnot. So there would be that. I would probably also have like variations of like day and night as well. So dawn, dusk, midnight. I would pretty much have something like that in there too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's bonkers, I know, but just kind of like, it doesn't just have to be, based off of a specific fandom. It can basically be anything you want. So I'm just like, screw it. That's what I'm going to go with.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that is a very interesting idea for a fighting game.
Yeah.
Moving on from one crazy idea to another, Pharaoh, I believe you had an interesting idea for your dream roster this week.
That is correct. But first, I just got to make a disclaimer of the whole thing. I'm not a doctor. If you're gonna like any like health medical advice and all that, go see your doctor, whatever health department you have in country or province or state or whatever. This is just fun and stupid ideas for fighting games. But without further ado, I know we've been fighting diseases and shit for the last however long.
Pretty much since the dawn of time, essentially.
What if they were to fight each other for dominance?
That is an interesting idea. Okay. So how do you see this looking like as a fighting game?
If I'm gonna be honest, I kind of see this as a hybrid of two fusions, perhaps. Like, sort of somewhere between a cross of maybe Mortal Kombat and Smash Brothers to some degree.
Okay, so kind of.
I don't know 2D, how that would function, but yeah,
so kind of like limited 2D platform fighter, essentially.
Maybe 2.5 if graphically we can do it. But
okay.
Yeah, for the most part, 2.
All right, and do you see this being like the actual anatomically correct diseases fighting, or like kind of Wolf have with his weather skies with being just avatars, like humanoid avatars of diseases, like?
Probably the avatars. It just seems to make a lot more sense than, because like they're just floating. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, true.
That's fair. Okay. Yeah.
And then what diseases would you have in your roster?
Ooh, we would have to go through a long list of that.
Okay, but like just top 5 favorites.
If I'm gonna say, well, we have to start with the measles, of course.
Okay, solid.
Measles, fair enough.
Yeah, you'd have to then add rubella.
All right.
I've actually never heard that one.
They call that German measles, but it's completely different.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, the one we're dealing with right now, still going around.
Yeah, that's fair. COVID, yeah.
That only makes sense. The flu.
Of course.
Yeah.
And maybe TB.
All right.
Huh. Okay. All right. That's not too bad.
Okay.
Again, this is just a disclaimer. Just a disclaimer. We're just doing this shit for fun. This is literally just ideas. I'm just trying to make sure we don't get our freaking podcast shut down and all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's totally good.
Yeah, if guys, you want to talk about anything health related, please consult an actual professional that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, guys, this is just us just throwing out around random fun ideas that are not supposed to make any sense. So don't take any actual anything serious away from this. It's just for shits and giggles, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So that's an interesting idea, Pharaoh. So.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah. Okay. As for me, bringing us back to actual franchises here. So I'm sure you guys at least have heard of the Disney franchise of Gargoyles.
I have, yes. I've heard of that one in passing, but I've never actually watched anything relating to it.
Okay, so for those of you listening, and for Wolf who doesn't know, Gargoyles essentially was a Disney show back in the 90s. It's always been kind of pretty separate from the Disney from the other Disney franchises, except for like a couple of mobile crossovers. But yeah, it's just kind of been its own thing. The creators of it, they made a pretty solid show, honestly. It had like a short season 1, and then it had a long ass season 2, which ran for like a lot of episodes. And then the original creators, unfortunately, something happened behind the scenes, and they left the project. And then there was a third season that came out that, to be short and simple and not be too hard on it was not really what the fans wanted from the series. Let's just say that. But luckily the original creators did eventually get permission from Disney to continue the actual story in some webcomics. So, and those are actually for sale, although they are kind of a collector's item now. So you have to find them, and then second you'll have to actually dish out a lot of cash to actually get them in your hands. But nevertheless, I've read a bunch of them online, and they are actually pretty good, and I think they hold well to the original show.
Oh,
so,
wow.
But yeah, so getting into this, so for those of you who don't know the storyline, basically, in this alternate version of our world, gargoyles are real. They turn into stone by day, flesh by night. You know the whole deal. Basically, kind of like vampires, but not really. So basically, it's about a clan of Scottish gargoyles that gets turned to stone for a good millennia. They wake up in 90s New York, and they go through a whole bunch of wacky 90s adventures. And it's definitely one of Disney's darker shows, and that's kind of what I like about this because we don't get the chance to see Disney go dark these days, and I absolutely love how dark the creators went with this show. It's actually a really good gothic show to look at. So, of course, going into the fighting game that I have thought of, obviously this is gonna have to be like, I'm definitely thinking like a Tekken Arena fighter. I was thinking originally like a Street Fighter style, like just 2D, but then I realized there is so much variety in these characters, so we're definitely going to have to get this into a more 3D space, especially since we have so many different locations to work from. Like, you have the castle that they inhabit, you have the clock tower that they inhabit for most of season 2. There's oh gosh, there's so many. Like even the island of Avalon is a location that gets put up in multiple times in the show. So
wow.
There's just a lot to work with here, and that's just the locations. Character-wise, we have Goliath, the main gargoyle. We have his crew of Hudson, Bronx, Broadway, Lexington, and Brooklyn. And then, of course, we have the other, like they have a whole rogues gallery of villains. So you have the Pack, which are basically just a bunch of body-altered psychopaths, essentially, for the most part. You have Demona, who's like a gun-toting gargoyle who basically got immortality. Spoilers for the show, by the way. And then, of course, you have the main villain, Xanatos, who basically, he's got kind of a gargoyle complex of sorts. He basically, like, his main thing is basically guns, but he also wears a mech suit that's basically based off of Goliath. So yeah, and that's just the main cast. There are so many different side characters you could do. Like there's the mutants, there's the gargoyles of Avalon, there's there's too many to count. Like Macbeth, oh my gosh, like aside from just all the Christian and Arthurian stuff, like King Arthur also shows up at one point, and like there's just also a bunch of Shakespearean characters they get thrown into the mix. So definitely a lot to work with. I would definitely see and the reason why I would put this into like a Tekken 3D fighting space, or I guess more like Soul Calibur, is because like you have a lot of like soaring gun wielders in this show, aside from just the hand-to-hand combats, and like even the hand-to-hand stuff, it's mostly just like a lot of claw swiping.
Huh. Okay.
So yeah. So like there's definitely a good cast there's a really good cast of characters they could draw from for this game. And I think just locations and if you had destructible environments, that would also be just icing on the cake for this game, honestly. So yeah, so that's my long-winded explanation of a Gargoyles fighting game, and that I would love to see.
That actually sounds really freaking cool. That's amazing.
Seriously though, if anyone listening to this hasn't seen Gargoyles already, go to Disney Plus, watch it. Watch the first two seasons. Stay away from the third season because it just was a big departure from the actual creator's design. But yeah, really good show and really good comics that followed it. Definitely recommend seeing those. And same to you guys.
All right, sounds like a plan. I'll be sure to check that out. Absolutely.
Yeah, trust me. Once you've gone through like the first season, you'll see that it's got like plenty of potential for a fighting game if they ever decide to make it.
Works for me. All right, I think with that, we've pretty much come to the end of the episode, ladies and gentlemen.
Indeed. Okay, so yeah, so I guess this turned out a bit longer than we thought it was. Like we did say that this was going to be a shorter one at the beginning, but I guess it did kind of drag on a little bit. So
a little bit. Don't worry, it'll probably be a bit shorter once the editing is done and this episode's published. So won't be sure. Too big of a deal.
Sure. All right. Well, guys, from all of us here at K9 Calamity, I'm Shamaro.
I'm Wolfpack.
Sharo.
And thank you guys again for tuning in to us for another apparently packed episode of True North Fighters. We love having you guys here and just listening to us ramble on about fighting games, which we love and we will never stop talking about, and we will keep you guys up to date on all the latest news. So, as always, stay safe. Enjoy the warming weather up here in the GTA with spring on the horizon. Enjoy that.
Yeah.
And as always, fight on.
Fight on, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you guys next time.